So another workhorse bottle that has made its way into the rotation of late is Old Forester. The 100 proof Old Forester trades places for the bonded Old Grandad. So this is a mash bill of 72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% malted barley. So it has a ton of corn in its mash bill, and you're gonna get all of those lovely bourbon flavors that you like, but it's at 100 proof, so it still stands up in cocktails that need kind of bigger flavor profile. Old Grandad has 9% less corn and 9% more rye, so you're gonna have a little bit higher spice in that Old Grandad, which I do like, but if you want a softer bourbon that's really gonna hit you over the head with baking spices and maple syrup and all of those good bourbony notes, the Old Forester is where you're gonna get that. And is it any surprise that the workhorse rye is Old Forester 100 proof rye? It shouldn't be, and I'll tell you why. So usually my workhorse is Rittenhouse, which is a lovely rye. The thing about Rittenhouse is that it is a high corn rye. I like to call it bourbon lover's rye. Old Forester is 65% rye, so it's higher rye, and then it's also 20% malted barley, which is kind of an anomaly in whiskey making in the United States. So malted barley is usually added to the mash bill because it aids in fermentation. It adds enough sugar to get the proper fermentation that you need for whiskey. Usually whiskeys go from like 6 to 12% malted barley in their makeup, but with the 20% malted barley, you get a rye that has those rye notes, right? It's got that breadiness and it's got that yeastiness, that rye flavor that you taste along with the spice, but then it also has softer notes of caramel and cornbread, which I believe is from the malted barley, or it could be from the malted barley. It is relatively rare to find high percentages of malted barley in whiskeys in America. There are some companies like Woodford and stuff that are doing something similar. And then of course there is a 15% corn in this makeup. So whereas the Rittenhouse goes for high corn and is versatile for that reason, when I want to use something that has that more rye flavor, then it has some of those softer notes, possibly from the malted barley, I like to hit up the Old Forester 100 proof at $23 a bottle, or 24 bucks a bottle. It's still a steal. I mean, we're not going to have those like very many of those like $16 to $20 bottles anymore. I think Old Grandad is even up above 20 bucks at this point, where it was $19.99 a few years ago. You know, 23 bucks a bottle is a steal.